Oh me, oh my. How do I have time on my hands to make YouTube videos? I have school, and now recently I just got a job at Sam's Club as a cashier. Now I know it's only been recently, but I got into a snafu with a customer, a member if you will, a couple of days ago. So I was doing, the ordinary cashier thing, checking out customers, helping them scan their items and whatnot to let them fucking leave the premises. And so I was just checking this lady out real quick, yeah. Scanning all this shit. And then at the end of it, as I was getting done with her, the lady behind her, let's just call her Betty, right? Let's call her Betty. Betty, she is munching on chips and grapes. Now, I don't mind customers eating their groceries so long as they actually buy the product. I'm pretty sure that makes sense in everybody's fucking head. But in this case, no, it's not. So as Betty was loading the belt up with groceries, meat, your dairy, whatever the hell, your frozen foods, I bring the cart to my side real quick to scan the water that's on the bottom of the basket. And as I was doing so, I was done with the water, right? And then I went up to scan the grapes in the bag of chips, and she said, "Don't scan the grapes, they aren't sweet." I stood there, I looked at her, and looked at the tub of grapes. That shit was half empty, half eaten. And I was like, "Ma'am, but you already consumed half of the grapes that were in the plastic tub, or in the tub, whatever the hell you want to call it." And she looked at me like I was Hitler himself, like fuck's sake, like some kind of tyrant, like I was some kind of animal ready to fucking end her life, her existence. Well, not really, but you know what I'm talking about. She just had that face. Disgust was the best word I could think of. But yeah, she looks at me. She says, "But they aren't sweet, and the chips, they're too salty." And I'm like, "But you opened the bag of chips, and you ate half the grapes. You need to pay for them. You can't just say, 'Oh, yeah, I don't want this. This isn't sweet,' and then go about your day." But no, apparently she can't wrap her head around that shit. And so I had to call a supervisor in to assess the problem. So I called the supervisor in. Let's call him Joe, alright? Let's call him Joe. So I tell Joe to come over here real quick. I tell Joe that the customer doesn't want to pay for these items and whatnot, and they've already been opened, and half of the grapes are gone. And Joe tries his best to tell the customer that they're in the wrong and that they need to pay for it, or else we're gonna call security and an LP or whatever. All right, and if you don't know what LP is, loss prevention, whatever the fuck, we'll just it's like security essentially. But yeah, and she refuses to pay for the items, and she demands for the manager. And so me and the supervisor look at each other like, "Yo, this bitch is actually nuts, fucking batshit crazy." And so we end up calling the manager over, and so the manager just came over. Let's just call the manager I don't know, just call him fucking God. All right, so God said God told Betty that she needs to pay for the items, or else we're gonna get security in. And she, like the rebel herself, just stands there disgusted by all three of us. And she oh my god, It was so bad. It was really fucking because she was holding up the entire line, and even the people behind her were like, "What the fuck is this lady going on about? Pay for your fucking items. You ate half the grapes, man." And so, she demanded the manager's corporate number and all that shit. So our manager gladly handed over his corporate number, and then we got our loss prevention guy to come over as well because the manager was like, fucking radioed him on the walkie, and he got the loss prevention guy to come over. Let's call it the loss prevention guy. Fucking, I don't even know. Let's call him God 2. So God number 2 escorts the member outside, and we fucking essentially just called the cops on her, and yeah, everything got sorted. So the moral of the story is, pay for your shit. Don't just fucking say, oh yeah, I ate half the grapes, I'm not gonna pay for it because it's not sweet. Sorry about that.